Hello and welcome back, my beautiful people. In this video, we had a quick insight in HTML and CSS right now, but yeah, it doesn't make sense to learn HTML and CSS if you don't use it. So this time we will make a project where we can use our learned skills. Let's dig right into it. Yeah, I prepared a little project for this and the next tutorial. Today we wanna do the HTML part. And the HTML, I prepared something like that we have something to look at, how our journey is going in the next two parts. Therefore, I will open it and we can check it. Yeah, this should be a simple form where you can click inside, then it will be gray or something like this, and you can write in there. And if you hover about the button, the color should change. Yeah, and yeah, this part, we will make the HTML for it, and in the next video we will make the CSS for it. So this will look the way it's looking right now. Let's start. For the HTML, we're doing what we're always doing. Hit the exclamation mark, hit the enter. We make this to a beautiful form. Yep. And as we learned last time, we need a CSS file. We will create it, we will implement it so the next time we can use it and don't need to think of something and can simply use it. Therefore, we need a style.css. And yeah, you know how we use it. We use a link to link to it, have the rel style sheet, and the href. We can simply take the style.css in here. Yeah, like this. Next one, we want to get a Montserrat as well. This time I will show you again how we gonna take it. We go in here, take Google Fonts, go to Google Fonts, go to Montserrat, the beautiful Montserrat. Yep, select the style and take it from here, copy it and close your browser again. Then you can simply put it in here. And yeah, guys, we have Montserrat ready. We won't use it in this video because we don't have CSS included, but in the next video. And our template is ready to go. So we can go to the UI elements right now. And yeah, if you have a look at this is a div. The whole thing is a div, the gray background. And in there we have a form. This will be a 1, the candidate info. This is normal text. Then we have an input. Then we have another input, a text area. You see this with here underneath here. You can change it. That's the text area. Then your interests is a normal drop-down field where you can select something, and another text area with a button. So, first of all, if we have our body, what do we need? We had a div outside. So we make a div with the class of which is equal to container. And everything will be in this div. Then of course we had a form. And yeah, because we don't do anything, we don't need the action right now, we simply have a form. And in the form we had a field set. And in here we can store our inputs which should belong together. First one we had was the 1, and then there stood something like candidate info. How we can achieve this is with a legend sign. A legend is doing what it's saying. It's a legend like for an input or something like this. If you have an image, the legend should speak for itself, what is seen in the picture. And you have you could use a p tag, which we learned like 2 videos before, but it's a paragraph. But a legend will tell the site more about it than a p tag in general. Yeah, then we had in here, we make a span because we want to style the 1 in another way. We want to style the candidate info text. Then we have a span with a class. The class we're calling currently number. And in here is the 1, which we had the green one. Like if we check it, this green one, the number should be in another styled in another way than the candidate info. And because we take a class, because we want to have the same styling for the two as well, so we can right now think in a reusable way that we can use this class again, put the styling onto another part. And the candidate info here simply can put it after the span, because the one is in the span and the legend is around everything. So if we put in here a candidate info, then this is only in the legend and not in the span. And you can adjust another styling to the span than to the candidate info. And of course I missed an E in here. Let's put a spacing before, then it will look much better. Yeah. And if we have a look at the final thing, underneath this we have two inputs and a text area. Yeah. An input should always have a type. The first type was a text. Then we had we need a class because we want to have the same styling for each of our inputs. This class I taking was values. Then we always need a name for our input, because if we have a label, then we can map it to this field 1. Then we had a placeholder. If we check it, what was the placeholder? The placeholder was your name and the star. So you can simply write a your name and the star sign. And if we have a check now at this file, because I already showed you the final version, if you open this one, you see it's pretty ugly, but it's doing what it should do. We have here the your name, we have here an input with your name. And simple as that, we can make the next input. The next input was your email. And therefore we have a special type, which is called email type, which is a special thing for emails. If you put an email in there, yeah, then we take the same class because we want to have the same styling for this. And yeah, we take the name field too. We don't need it right now, but it's always good to have a name if you want to have later labels or something like this. Then placeholder, we take your email also with a star, and can have a look. Our form and the final form. The final form next needs a text area. A text area is the same as an input, but you have much more spacing because the input simply can write, if you go like this, yeah, like this, then it goes on and on the right hand side. But if you do it in here, then we have another line and can go even in the, yeah, it's vertically longer lines. Yeah, like this. Go back to it and put in our text area. Our text area is nothing special. We put in a text area. Then we have the same class with values. We have a name with field 3. And of course we had a placeholder. Yeah, I need to have a quick look what the placeholder was. The placeholder was, oh, let's get rid of this, about yourself. About yourself. And then we simply can close it. Yeah, easy as that. Have a look if everything's working fine. And yeah, ugly, but it's working. And this it's what it's supposed to be. And then we can have a look at the lower things. Here we have the first time a label which is mapped to the select under there with some different things. So, and before we implement the label, we will now implement the select. Therefore we have a name, which is field 4, and we have an idea, which is job. Because this will be job, then we have a class of values as well. And now, how get we the select things in here? If we have a quick look at our site, you see we have here outdoors and indoors, which we can't select. If I hover over it, I can't select it. But the other things I can select and click on it. The thing is, this is like an option group where we can group multiple options inside, and these are options directly which I can choose. Therefore, we have the simple HTML tag of opt group, and in here you can simply put a label tag The first was indoors, and the second one was outdoors. Therefore, we can have another option group with the label of outdoors. And if we now have a look at our current file, what is happening, we see here we have an indoors, and I wrote the label wrong. Yeah, you won't get an error, but you won't see anything. Go back to it, and if we have now here, we can't select anything, but we have the option groups. And now we can put inside the option groups the actual options we want to choose. And an option, you always have a value which you can select later. For example, this is boxing. Indoors. Maybe we don't box indoor. Maybe we make gaming indoor. And in here, you write what is written there. Like if you now have a check, I have a difference. Like I have the small gaming as a value and the uppercase gaming as an option. If you have now a look at it, then you see, oh, it's the uppercase gaming. Because the value we can later extract with, for example, JavaScript or something like this, or as a selector. But what's written in there will be displayed on our website. Yeah. Then, what else can we do inside? Oof. Let's play piano. That's always cool. Piano. And for outdoors, we always also have two different options with the value of football and what else? Tennis. Tennis is also a sport. So we take tennis and have a look. Yeah, now we have our option groups of indoors and outdoors, and under there we have our options which we can choose of tennis, football, and the other stuff. Yeah. Now we have a look what's under there. We have now this was a legend in the first part, so we take a legend as well. The legend in here, we had like a little span to have another possibility of styling for the number, then the plain text, then another text area, and at the bottom of our site we have a button. Yeah, let's keep going. So we need to go outside of the select and outside of the field set. Because if you have a check, this should belong together and this should belong together for reasons. Because the 2 is for the 2 and the 1 is for the 1, yeah, obviously. So we make another field set to keep it grouped in another way. And in here, we can simply have a look at the first one and copy it. But we will write it to learn something in here. We always want to learn. Then put the 2 and the text. Oof, I forgot the text, but I can have a look. We had additional info. Additional information about you. And we had the text area in the end. Let's write it out. Text area. And this should be comparable with another text area, so we make the same class and the name of field 5, class values. So we have the same styling over here. Name is equal to, we had here field 4, so we need field 5. And the placeholder was about your school. We want to know something about your school. And have a look at the beauty of our site. And you see, we have here our field set, which is separated from the first field set. Our inputs, yeah, the drop down. And now the last thing we're missing is the button. So let's keep this in mind and put it underneath here. And normally I showed you before, we can have a button with a button tag, but in a form it's normally with an input tag. input tag. And the input type, like we have, let's write it out, input. And the type in here is submit, for submitting the form. If we have a look at it, this will look like a normal button. You see, normal button, but if I click it, the page refreshes. Because normally a form should be sent to another page with a post request or get request. If you don't know right now, don't worry, I will tell you later, because we don't do it without JavaScript. But in a normal form, you make the button with a submit input type. Just remember this and you're ready to go. And in a type, we want to change from senden, that's German, but we want to change it to apply. And therefore, in a normal button, we could write inside the tags. In here, we can put a value. The value will do the same and simply write inside your submit button. If we have a check edit, then yeah, we have the apply in here. We have all the UI elements we want to have later on. They look pretty ugly, so you won't miss the next video where we use the CSS and make this kind of an input, this kind of a form to this form. Hope you liked the video, subscribe to my channel, and stay tuned for the next video where we create this beauty. Thank you.